What if everything we thought we knew about Jungkook and Taehyung was just the surface of something deeper? Something that even the most devoted armies missed until now. The past few weeks have been a whirlwind for the BTS fandom, as curious eyes have turned toward two of its brightest stars, Jungkook and Kim Taehyung V. But this time, the spotlight isn't about a new single, a concert, or even a military enlistment update. Instead, it's about something much more cryptic. Something that started with subtle glances, small digital disappearances, and awkward silences, and is now ballooning into one of the biggest waves of speculation BTS has faced since their hiatus. Fans are starting to ask, is there a rift between the golden magne and the soulful baritone, or is something else going on behind the scenes? It began innocently. Jungkook deleted his entire Instagram earlier this year, claiming that social media wasn't for him. The fandom accepted it. After all, Jungkook has always had a complicated relationship with public platforms. But what seemed odd was the timing. Around the same period, fans noticed that he had unfollowed everyone, including Taehyung. Armies brushed it off at first. It's just social media, they said. Jungkook and Taehyung are brothers. Nothing can come between them. And maybe that was true, until Taehyung stopped mentioning Jungkook entirely, for two members once known for their iconic chemistry, whether it was their legendary live moments, their close interactions, or even their heartwarming interviews. This silence felt deafening. Suddenly, clips of them not making eye contact at events started to trend. Fans began combing through fan cams with forensic precision, comparing moments from 2019 to now. One video in particular caught fire. Taehyung at an afterparty, laughing freely with Jimin and Hobi, while Jungkook sat at the other end of the room, distant, distracted, and seemingly alone. But could this really mean anything? Could it be coincidence? Or are we watching a quiet unraveling? The internet exploded with theories. Some believe it's simply the reality of growing up and growing apart. They're not the same boys from 2015, one fan posted on Twitter, garnering over 200,000 likes. Let them live. Others aren't so sure. Hidden meanings in Wever's posts, cryptic lyrics in solo releases, and even background interactions in recent videos are being dissected frame by frame. A smile too small. A greeting too cold. A sentence cut off mid-thought. Could it be tension or something deeper? Let's rewind. Jungkook and Taehyung, once dubbed the soulmates of BTS by fans, had a bond that felt magnetic. Whether on variety shows, behind-the-scenes content, or casual live streams, their energy was undeniable. Jungkook, the younger, more introverted, but deeply thoughtful performer, often looked to Taehyung, the older, free-spirited enigma with a painter's soul. They balanced each other. Their dynamic was playful, sometimes chaotic, but always anchored in something pure. So what changed? Some fans point to their solo careers. As BTS entered a phase of individual focus, each member was encouraged to explore their own artistry. Taehyung leaned into jazz, photography, and fashion, becoming increasingly embedded in the luxury world, hanging out with icons like Park Bo-gum and attending Paris Fashion Week with elite company. Jungkook, on the other hand, took a more reclusive path, training in silence, obsessing over fitness and vocals, disappearing for weeks, then re-emerging with explosive performances. Different paths, different priorities, but even differing lifestyles don't explain the lack of interaction, at least not entirely. Then came a series of clues that added more fuel to the fire. A live stream where Taehyung was asked about Jungkook, and he dodged the question. A podcast where Jungkook was asked which member he speaks to the most, and he didn't say Taehyung. Little things, but ARMY notices everything. When two people are that beloved, every silence becomes a message, and every message becomes a mystery. Could it be a private disagreement? A creative clash? Or something more personal, something they're keeping hidden to protect the group's legacy? More recently, rumors surfaced of a disagreement during rehearsals. Sources, anonymous of course, claimed that tension flared between members during a recent video shoot. While no names were officially confirmed, hints from insiders led many fans to believe Jungkook and Taehyung were involved. If true, it wouldn't be the first time idols clashed off camera. The The pressure of fame, perfection, and the weight of a global brand can strain even the closest of bonds. But it hurts more when it's between two people who once called each other brothers. In a twist that shocked many, an older clip began to resurface. A 2017 behind-the-scenes moment where Jungkook quietly said, "Sometimes I feel like Taehyung doesn't need me anymore." At the time, fans dismissed it as playful emotion. Now, it's being interpreted as a premonition. Still, despite the theories, neither Jungkook nor Taehyung has publicly addressed the speculation. Silence can be strategic. It can also be a message in itself. Fans are left in limbo, yearning for answers, but bracing for the possibility that they may never get them. Could this be a temporary drift, two artists simply finding space to grow, or the beginning of a long-term distance? Is it all blown out of proportion by fans hungry for drama in a group that's usually scandal-free? Or is there a deeper story that we're not meant to see? One thing is clear: the bond between idols and fans has never been stronger. But with that bond comes a double-edged sword. When idols suffer in silence, fans suffer too. The urge to protect them clashes with the fear of losing what once was. That's what makes this situation so emotionally charged. It's not just about Jungkook and Taehyung, it's about what they represented. Friendship, brotherhood, magic. Where does that leave us now? Some believe a reunion moment is coming, a powerful redemption arc that will quiet all doubts. Others fear the silence will stretch, becoming the new normal. Meanwhile, fans continue watching, hoping, decoding every frame, every lyric, every live. Not out of malice, but out of love. Because when you've grown up with someone's story, when their smiles have pulled you through dark days, their pain feels like your own. And in the world of BTS, even the quietest storms make the loudest noise. Stay tuned, ARMY. The silence may soon be broken. Or it may last longer than any of us expected, because sometimes the biggest questions aren't answered in headlines. They're whispered between the lines, by those who know how to listen. If silence is a language, then Jungkook and Taehyung have been speaking volumes. In a world where every blink becomes a headline, their mutual quietness has become louder than any press release. And fans aren't just watching anymore, they're feeling it. It's in the way armies hesitate before reposting an old jungkook moment. It's in the cautious optimism that fills fan tweets ending with, "Maybe they're just busy." Even when the heart says otherwise. What happened to the boys who once hugged like they never wanted to let go? Who shared hotel rooms, matching shirts, inside jokes? Who would glance at each other mid-performance and smile as if the world only made sense in those moments? These aren't fictional characters. They're real humans navigating a life that's anything but normal. Imagine the weight of never being able to have a disagreement in peace, because any change in energy could ignite global headlines, dissected in real time by millions. Imagine being watched not just by cameras, but by expectations, memories, dreams. That's the life of Jungkook and Taehyung. And yet, there's more. One of the most shocking moments came when Taehyung held a surprise live late at night. Nothing out of the ordinary at first, just a mellow session, him sipping wine, humming to himself, casually chatting. But then the mood shifted. A fan asked, "Do you miss the old days with Jungkook?" The screen paused for a second too long. Taehyung looked away. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Then he said, "Everyone changes. Even good things evolve." And just like that, the live ended. ARMY was left breathless. The words weren't dramatic, but they weren't empty either. Even good things evolve. What did he mean? Evolve into what? Distance? Silence? Or perhaps something healthier, something off camera. Around the same time, Jungkook went live too. His demeanor was different, more animated, full of playful energy, singing along to his favorite tracks, punching the air while working out. But when a comment floated on screen, "Taehyung misses you," his hand froze. He blinked. Then, almost inaudibly, he muttered, "Really?" before quickly moving on. Two different screens. Two different hearts. But one shared silence. There's an undercurrent running through this storm, something deeper than the visible signs. Maybe this isn't a feud. Maybe this is how real friendships grow. through discomfort, space, reflection. After all, the world has seen idols pretend to be close just to sell an image. That's never been BTS. They built a legacy not on perfection, but on authenticity. So if Jungkook and Taehyung are taking space, maybe that's part of their truth, not a betrayal of it. But that doesn't make it easier to watch, especially for fans who remember their rawest moments. When Taehyung cried during a concert and Jungkook wrapped him in a hug without a word. When Jungkook stood behind him on stage, mimicking his moves just to make him laugh. When they got matching tattoos, not with each other's names, but symbols that once meant forever in their own language. Memories like that don't fade. They echo, and yet, the most recent group photo told a different story. In a behind-the-scenes shot taken during a short reunion for an ad shoot, ARMYs noticed the placement. Taehyung stood at one edge, arms around Jimin and Namjoon. Jungkook on the far opposite end, leaning slightly toward Yoongi. They weren't far apart physically, but emotionally, the gap felt wide. There was no side glance, no shared laugh, no visible bond. Could it be coincidence? Staging? Or is it simply what happens when people change in front of the entire world? Still, the fire doesn't die easily. Some fans are holding on to hope, connecting dots between solo projects. Taehyung's recent photography exhibit included a mysterious image of a figure standing under a single spotlight, blurry, almost unrecognizable. The caption? "He shines alone." Was that about Jungkook? Others point to a lyric in Jungkook's solo track. "Even when you don't call, I'll still hear your silence." Coincidence? Or conversation? And then came the biggest twist yet. A leaked schedule showed that both Taehyung and Jungkook might be appearing at the same private event in Japan later this year. Immediately, hashtags trended worldwide. Hashtag VKook reunion. Hashtag please talk again. Hashtag still brothers. It wasn't confirmed. It wasn't denied. But the possibility was enough to send ARMY into a hopeful frenzy. Because maybe that's what this all comes down to. Hope. Hope that time doesn't destroy what fame built. Hope that behind the scenes, Jungkook and Taehyung are still talking, still laughing, still learning how to be men in a world that only ever wanted them to be perfect idols. Hope that whatever distance has formed can be bridged, not for the cameras but for themselves. And if that doesn't happen, then perhaps we learn something too. That not every silence is war. That sometimes love changes form. That friendships, even iconic ones, can evolve without ending. Maybe, just maybe, Jungkook and Taehyung aren't drifting apart. Maybe they're just finding new paths to walk. Paths that don't always run parallel, but will always lead back to the same place when it matters. Because real bonds don't break. They bend. They stretch. They get quiet. But they wait. SO to the ARMYs watching, wondering, wishing. Keep the faith. But don't forget the truth. These aren't just idols. They're human. And in the end, love isn't about proving it every second. Sometimes, love is just being there even from a distance.